Thanks for your interest in this online course from Zondervan Academic. My name is Kent Hendricks, and today I'll be taking a few minutes to show you how this course is structured. So this is what you see when you log in as a student. The design is simple, clean, and intuitive. There's very little clutter. Vitaly Friedman once said that good design strikes a balance between elegance and invisibility. The design of this course gets out of the way, and it lets the content come to the fore. The course outline follows the book that this course is based on, which is Grasping God's Word. There are 16 units in this course. It's designed to be used in a 16-week semester with students working through one unit per week. However, you can do the course in whatever time frame you'd like. So if your school is on a quarter system, or you want to do this course as part of a 3-week summer session, you have the flexibility to do that as well. I'm going to scroll down to Unit 10. You'll notice that there are 4 sections in Unit 10. Overview, Study, Review, and Assess. When I click on one, it opens up the unit. Now you can see there are 4 tabs at the top: Overview, Study, Review, and Assess. This is how each unit is structured. It's a predictable pattern, so when students log in, they don't need to spend time getting reoriented to where they are. We're now in the Overview section. Typically, this section will contain a short summary of the unit along with a list of course objectives. It contains 1 or more video lectures, such as the one you see here. So I'm going to click play to begin the video. As the video plays, I'll point out a couple of things you need to know. First, we have invested in making sure these videos are the highest quality possible. We fly our authors to our film studio here at our offices in Grand Rapids, Michigan. Sometimes we'll go on site to a professor's institutions, and we've even gone on location around the world. We've been to Israel, Turkey, Greece, and Rome to record our video lectures. We have a team of editors who then goes and adds visual content to the videos, including slides, maps, quotations, and several other materials. Online learning has a reputation for low-quality media. Cameras in the back of the classroom, poor lighting, poor audio. We are taking a different approach and making a massive investment in making sure your students get the very best video materials in their courses. We think you'll agree that this is what these videos provide. You'll notice that this video is about 16 minutes long. Some lectures are as short as 2 or 3 minutes. Other lectures are as long as an hour. We want the course content to dictate how long the videos need to be, so the time varies a little bit. I'm sure you've heard hour-long lectures that had only 15 minutes of good material. Fortunately, the benefit of an online learning environment is that you can make the lectures exactly as long as you need them to be, and no longer. Now let's move on to the second section of this unit, the study section. This section includes all the reading material from the course textbook. Instead of students watching a lecture in one setting and then doing the course reading in another setting, we have merged them together here. All the material from the course textbook is built right into the course itself, which makes for a seamless learning experience for your students. Some sections are short, like the one that you see here, but if I click to the next section, you'll notice that it's much longer. These readings contain photos, charts, quotations, and much other material. The bottom line is that everything found in the book is now built directly into the course. You'll notice here at the bottom that there are reflection questions interspersed throughout the readings. We have added these questions to keep students engaged as they read, and to encourage them to slow down and think about what they're learning. Some students learn very well sitting in a chair and reading for 2 hours straight, but many students benefit from the kind of engagements that these questions provide. They also allow your students to answer questions that they might never answer out loud in a traditional classroom setting. Many introverted students are hesitant to participate in class when they're asked about how they would apply what they're learning in a ministry setting or asked to reflect on an experience in their own life. These questions help foster deep engagement with the course material in a way that you wouldn't be able to get in a traditional classroom setting. What's more, you as an instructor can see the answers that students give, and you have the option to use their answers as a factor in calculating the final grade for the course. Now let's go up and take a look at the Review tab. Just a minute ago, we looked at the Overview tab, and then we looked at the Study tab. If the Overview tab is analogous to the time a student spends in a physical classroom, and the Study tab is analogous to the time they would spend doing reading for the course, Then the Review tab is analogous to the time a student would spend studying for a quiz or a test. There are two sections in the Review tab. The first is the Cerigo Adaptive Learning Engine. We're going to come back to that in a moment. First, let's scroll to the bottom and proceed to the second section of the Review tab. You'll see here that there are several questions. These questions are more in-depth than the reflection questions we just saw a moment ago in the readings. These questions ask students to synthesize, summarize, and apply what they've learned in this unit in a broad way. They're not easy questions. You can see that the first question asks students to apply the two interpretive questions that we use to read the Gospels to Matthew 24, verses 43 through 25, verse 13. Record your findings. As you can see, to answer this question, students will need to watch a portion of the lecture again. They'll need to go back and look at the course readings. They'll need to spend some time in Scripture thinking about the application. This is the kind of question that may take them a half hour or more to answer. In this particular unit, there are 3 questions. Some units contain only 1 or 2 questions. Others may contain up to half a dozen. It just depends on the material found in each unit. You as an instructor will have access to the answers your students give. So now we have covered the second section of the Review tab. Let's scroll up and take a look at the first section of the Review tab, the Adaptive Learning tool developed by Cerigo. You've probably had students in your class who struggle to learn the material you teach them, or they learn the material for a given lesson, but they don't look at it again until they're reviewing for the final exam, and then they pull an all-nighter trying to refreshen their memory. They might be able to review the material in this way just well enough to pass the exam, but we both know that this is not the ideal way to learn. What you're looking at here is an adaptive learning tool that's designed to help solve these problems. What I'll do is proceed into the tool and do a few exercises myself. This will let you get a feel for how it looks and how it works. Then, once I've done a few, I'll take a step back and explain what's going on under the hood. So let's click the Learn 20 button in the bottom right corner to get started. This adaptive learning tool is showing me statements. It's showing me definitions of terms. This is all material that's pulled from the unit. Now it's asking me to define something, to fill in a blank. So on this one, I'm going to indicate that I know the answer. Let's make our selection. Looks like I got this one right. So now in the bottom right, I click Next. Now it asks me another question. What's going on in the background is that this tool is tracking 4 key metrics. First, it's tracking which questions I get right. Second, it's tracking which questions I get wrong. Third, it's tracking the number of times it takes me to answer a question correctly. And fourth, it's tracking the amount of time it takes me to answer a question correctly. It's also tracking numerous other metrics behind the scenes. As it's doing this, it's compiling data about me. This tool is learning how I am learning, and then it is adapting. So what this means is that the material I don't know very well is being prioritized, so I see it more frequently than the material that I do know well. In addition to helping your students learn this material, the tool also takes into account how they forget what they learn. After they finish this session, they will begin getting regular reminders to revisit and review the material. This tool won't notify them at random, however. Instead, it will send them prompts to review the material at the exact moment they are most likely to forget it, and it will do this throughout the duration of the course. This means students will no longer review the material for a unit and then not look at it again until they're reviewing for the final exam. Instead, they'll be regularly reviewing course material throughout the duration of the course, not only so they can do well on the exam, but so they can learn the material for the long term after the class is over. You can see how this is highly beneficial for students who struggle with knowing what to study next. It can be overwhelming for students to think about what concept they need to review next. It can be difficult for them to identify the gaps in their understanding of the key concepts in the unit. This tool helps them with that. It will also help students who struggle with time management. This tool will help them study, and it will help them prioritize what they need to learn next. Now that we've looked at the Review tab, let's proceed to the final section of this unit, the Assessment. This tab contains a quiz. The quizzes are usually 20 questions long. They're usually multiple choice and fill in the blank, but it can vary by unit. They also have a countdown clock, which means students have a limited amount of time to complete them. It's enough time that they can complete the quiz without stress, but it's not so much time that they can click back to other sections of the unit. Let's get started. I'm going to click Begin Assessment. Here's the quiz. You can see it's a mixture of true and false, fill in the blank, multiple choice, and other items. As with all student activity in the course, you will be able to see how students do on the quiz. The course grade is calculated from quizzes, a midterm, and a final exam. You also have the opportunity to factor answers from reflection questions and review questions into the final grade, but you'll need to do this manually. This course provides a complete learning experience for your students. But we also know that every school has its own unique requirements, and every professor wants to do specific things in their own class that no one else does, and we know this is true of you too. Fortunately, you have the option to customize the course to make sure it's right for your needs. Add your own assignments, upload your own videos, or make other changes, as many or few as you'd like. Several optional features are available as well. You can add discussion forums, messaging tools, a calendar, and much more. We'll work with you to make sure that this online course is exactly what you need for your institution and your class. You might be wondering, how would this work at my school? How can I use this material in my own class? There are 3 things you need to know. First, there are no setup fees or any upfront costs. You pay per student, whether you have 1 student or 1,000. The second thing you need to know about implementation is that there is minimal technical work for you to do. The courses are hosted in the cloud, so your IT team doesn't need to configure them. The third thing to know about implementation is that there's very little training required to take the courses. As you just saw, these courses are beautifully designed and easy to use. If you're a professor, you can use this online course to flip your classroom. That is, you can still meet in a regular traditional setting with your classroom, but just assign the online material as the homework for the class when students go home. Then you can use the class time to supplement material from the lecture, have a group discussion, or answer questions and clarify the material for your students. If you're a school administrator, such as an academic dean, a provost, or a president, these courses are an ideal way to begin an online program at your school. It's an ideal way to scale up and grow your existing online program, or it's a way that you can supplement your existing program with courses that you can't get anywhere else. This is a great way for you to offer electives that otherwise might be cost prohibitive because only a few students may enroll. This is also ideal for students who need to fit a class in before they can graduate or finish their degree. Or it's good for students who want to get a head start at your school during the summer before their freshman year. If you're a school that wants to rapidly expand your existing online program, or you want to start a new program from scratch, then this is a low-risk way for you to do it. You don't pay for any development costs, and you only pay for the students who enroll. Whatever your situation, we want to help you provide the best possible learning experience for your students. Contact us today to learn how you can get started.